Have you ever considered what your aging parents may not be sharing with you? In this video, we will uncover 3 significant insights that many older parents often keep to themselves. Stay tuned until the conclusion to uncover how these concealed insights can enhance your comprehension and bond with your cherished ones. Before we start, I would be grateful if you could like this video, as it will assist me in sharing valuable insights on aging. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly encourage you to do so and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all the videos. If you found this video helpful, kindly leave a comment with the number 1. If you have any feedback, please comment with a 0 so I can improve future videos for your benefit. Let us begin our journey. In their later years, wise individuals tend to keep these 3 secrets from their children. Dear friends, while many may share in your laughter, in moments of sorrow, you often find yourself alone. To safeguard your later years from potential sorrow and darkness, it is advisable for parents to refrain from sharing these secrets with their children. A single moment of carelessness can transform a joyful later life into one filled with sorrow and distress. Revealing even one of these 3 secrets can result in troubles, conflicts, and the breakdown of family harmony. What are the underlying factors that can lead to such significant loss? It is important to take the time to listen and reflect on these everyday stories. Primary source of marital conflicts. Anna entered into marriage with someone who resides several kilometers from her parents' home. Her work schedule was manageable, yet there were occasions when she could only see her parents once a month. Families frequently seek opportunities to come together on weekends, holidays, or any chance they get for a delightful reunion. Yet, each time she returned home, it became a source of stress due to her parents' ongoing disputes. Her father, a figure of authority since her childhood, would assert his opinions and anticipate unwavering compliance from everyone around him. Her mother, once gentle and accommodating, began to reveal her limitations with age, resulting in frequent verbal conflicts between them. During a family dinner, her father remarked on her mother's cooking, suggesting it lacked flavor. Her mother, in contrast, brought to mind his physician's recommendation to reduce salt intake. Their disagreements frequently involved unkind language, disrupting the harmony within the family. Despite her attempts to guide them towards a more harmonious lifestyle, her parents would briefly adhere to her suggestions but inevitably revert to their previous habits. In a similar vein, Tun's parents in Vinh Hung Hong exhibited a distinct dynamic. His father, once a skilled director overseeing thousands of subordinates, encountered a fresh challenge in his retirement years. He started to exhibit irritability and a critical attitude, particularly directed at his wife. His mother, feeling increasingly overlooked, developed a sense of resentment towards her husband's actions, resulting in ongoing tensions and conflicts. Their disagreements, frequently witnessed by their children, fostered a strained environment that impacted the family's overall cohesion. Psychologists indicate that cohabitation in later years does not ensure happiness. Dr. Din Don points out that younger couples frequently encounter distractions that help ease conflicts, whereas older couples tend to experience more confrontations as a result of heightened interaction and fewer external activities. To reduce such conflicts, it is essential for society to foster greater opportunities for older adults to participate in community activities and sustain social connections. Promoting physical activity and engagement in social clubs can significantly contribute to overall well-being. 2. Many individuals regard the act of saving money for retirement as a crucial priority. Studies indicate that a significant portion of individuals, specifically 3 out of 5, successfully set aside funds for their retirement years. However, the situation can be more intricate in Vietnam, where a significant number of individuals lack savings. Individuals who manage to save frequently find themselves in a dilemma, torn between utilizing their savings for personal needs or preserving it for their offspring. For instance, Mrs. Mann, who had been prudent with her savings throughout her life, found herself conflicted between utilizing her funds for her own needs and providing assistance to her children. Her hesitation to invest in her own well-being resulted in a disregard for her health. Psychologists suggest that the motivation behind saving money for children frequently stems from a deep sense of duty. It is common for parents to feel a sense of duty to support their children, even as they advance in years. However, as children gain independence and parents begin to confront their own needs, it can lead to both financial and emotional challenges. Experts suggest implementing a comprehensive financial strategy that takes into account individual requirements while also providing for the needs of children. 3. As individuals grow older, it is natural for their health to experience a decline. While many individuals strive to uphold healthy habits, significant health issues can still emerge. Some older individuals who prefer to keep their health concerns to themselves may encounter challenges in effectively managing their conditions. For instance, Mrs. Hang, who experienced joint pain, concealed her health challenges to prevent causing concern for her children. However, concealing such issues can lead to increased stress and impede appropriate care. It is advisable for older adults to communicate their health conditions with their children in order to obtain the essential support they may need. Encouraging open dialogue regarding health matters can significantly enhance the ability of families to deliver improved care and support. In conclusion, withholding information regarding marital disputes, financial situations, or health matters can significantly affect family harmony and overall well-being. In later years, fostering connection and comprehension across generations is essential for nurturing a loving family bond and providing reciprocal support. Tio has already stated that he has cut off all lines of communication with his parents. I understand that his wounds present significant challenges for healing, yet I have faith that his parents hold a deep concern for his well-being. While there may have been instances of neglect, it is important to consider the implications of completely severing ties. Is there a way to improve this situation? Just as fingers vary in length, it is important to recognize that parents may struggle to treat each child equally, particularly in larger families. While partiality may not seem significant, excessive favoritism toward one child can create tensions among siblings and impact the dynamics of parent-child relationships. Such conflicts can readily lead to estrangement and fractured family connections. Some individuals may sever ties with family members due to feelings of unfair treatment or a perceived lack of favoritism. It is possible for some children to adopt an attitude of reluctance towards repaying or caring for their parents. Consequently, thoughtful parents will reflect on their choices meticulously to prevent any adverse effects on other family members. In the concluding segment of today's program, we will hear a narrative centered around a stepfather. He was more than 50 when he wed my mother, looking for companionship in his later years. He may not have been remarkable in many aspects, but his culinary talents and sincere nature truly stood out. However, upon meeting him, I came to understand the genuine essence of family. Following the meeting, I found myself adrift for 3 years until he visited my home. In comparison to my father, he appeared quite typical, lacking any remarkable qualities. His home was cozy, his retirement income limited, and he was simply a retired everyday laborer. Furthermore, his son had recently tied the knot and required his assistance. Honestly, my mother consented to meet him as a courtesy to the matchmaker. Ultimately, my mother was quite taken with his culinary abilities. Upon their initial meeting, he remarked, "Mrs. Lee, I am aware that your health is quite robust and that you have everything you need. While I may not have much to present, I believe it's important for us to connect and understand one another better. I would be delighted if you could join us for a meal today." Her sincere compassion led my mother to feel unable to decline, and she chose to remain. He took control of the situation, preparing a nourishing bowl of soup that featured 4 different vegetables, including a hearty pumpkin stew with meat. My mother found it so delightful that she was reluctant to set down her chopsticks. Before departing, he advised her to return if she desired more to eat, mentioning that despite his modest means, he could still provide pumpkin dishes with ease. Eventually, my mother encountered several other individuals, yet she opted for him despite their more favorable circumstances. After dedicating more than half her life to caring for my father, her desire to be the one receiving care this time was rooted in a personal need for support. He and my mother arrived together. We gathered for a meal at a luxurious five-star hotel, which included him, my mother, me, and his three sons. I intentionally organized this to highlight my significance to him, but in truth, it was to showcase my standing. As he departed from the hotel, he kindly expressed, "From this moment forward, we are family. If you wish to extend an invitation for a meal, a roadside eatery would be a suitable choice. There, I can enjoy my meal without any discomfort and without the burden of guilt over my spending." His heartfelt words struck at my pride. I found that going up against such a candid elder was akin to attempting to trick a child with sweets. It was utterly disgraceful. He provided exceptional care for my mother. Whenever she encountered me, she would cheerfully discuss her desire to shed some pounds. He prepared meals with great skill. During a meal with everyone, I found myself suggesting to my wife that she should take some notes from him on his cooking for next time. My wife, who previously showed little interest in learning, appeared rather irritated. He promptly intervened to ease the tension, stating, "I've accomplished nothing in my life aside from cooking. Please refrain from copying my actions. You are all making significant contributions. Feel free to join us for a meal if you wish. I would prefer to have someone enjoy the meals I prepare." On that occasion when we departed, he prepared an abundance of leftovers for us to bring back home. As he handed them to me, he remarked that I should refrain from praising his cooking any further. Honestly, I feel a sense of discomfort when it comes up in conversation. While every individual has the ability to cook, I find myself lacking in other areas. This should not be regarded as a positive quality. On the way home, I shared his insights with my wife. She expressed that individuals like him have a natural inclination to assist others. He was prepared to lower himself to the ground. My mother experienced a stroke of good fortune and now carries herself with the grace of royalty. I noticed my wife's disapproval of him as I drove. I experienced a profound sense of compassion for him. Ultimately, he continued to be an outsider burdened by feelings of shame. The following day, I relocated to a new residence. He and my mother participated in the important tradition of heating the bottom of the pot, a customary practice associated with moving houses. He meticulously adhered to the tradition. Yet when it was time for the meal, he chose not to occupy the esteemed position at the table. Despite our thorough efforts, we were unable to locate him. Attempting to reach him by phone proved to be ineffective. It appeared that he had intentionally timed his exit for after the guests had left. As the device was switched off, he came back home with the leftovers neatly packed in the containers he had organized. My mother expressed concern and sympathy for him. She advised him to refrain from this behavior in the future. "This expense is manageable for me. It concerns me to witness you consuming leftovers." He shook his head and declined, stating, "I don't view it as an expense. I find it to be of no concern. I have become accustomed to it. If I were to experience regret, it would be for the misallocation of my hard-earned funds." My mother remained silent, feeling a sense of compassion for him. I haven't encountered him since that time. Yet the mere thought of him brings a sense of warmth and emotion to my heart. The essence of family is simple and profound, requiring no elaborate definitions. When an individual shares their true emotions, their behavior conveys more than mere words ever could. I would like to express my gratitude for his practical demonstration of this concept. I am the same as I was before, but he is unable to stand up again. Previously, his only expression was a smile. I never anticipated that he would become so frail. Now frequently in tears, his mother provided care, and he expressed his emotions through tears. We transported him in a wheelchair for a pleasant outing in the suburbs. He shed tears on numerous occasions, observing in the hospital how his finances dwindled rapidly. He expressed his emotions through tears. Eventually, there came a day when he, in a moment of despair, attempted to harm himself with a razor. He required 5 hours of emergency treatment to recover. He felt an overwhelming sense of fatigue and despair. What was genuinely surprising was that the first individual to depart from him was his son. His son seldom came to see him, and eventually, He didn't appear at all. Each time he reached out, he would mention being on a business trip and assured him that a visit was forthcoming. What astonished me even further was that my mother subsequently expressed her desire to part ways with him. They had not formalized their marriage, so it was simply a matter of going their separate ways and moving on with their lives. My mother expressed that she felt her age was catching up with her and that she was unable to provide the care he needed. She was unable to assist me. Yet she also felt that introducing a husband with disabilities into our lives would be an additional burden. This is the undeniable truth. I felt it was necessary to take on the difficult role myself, ensuring my mother wouldn't be seen as the villain in this situation. So I made the tough decision to inform him about the separation. I informed him while he was resting in the hospital. Uncle Duong, my mother is unwell. His tears streamed down like a heavy downpour. I had to muster the courage to speak the difficult truth. Uncle Duong, my mother is aging. You've observed her behavior towards you lately. He persisted in weeping and gave a solemn nod. I continued, Uncle Duong, we still have responsibilities to attend to. My mother is experiencing some health challenges. Do you believe it would be suitable for you to return to your own home after being discharged? I will arrange for a caregiver to assist you. I will certainly cover the costs and make it a point to visit you regularly. Upon hearing this, he ceased his tears, nodded in agreement, and expressed his gratitude. If that is indeed the situation, it would be quite beneficial. That would be wonderful. There is no necessity to engage a caregiver. It is unnecessary. If you are continuing to engage with this video and are finding the lessons beneficial, kindly comment number 1 below to indicate your ongoing participation in this learning experience. I appreciate your time and insights. I exited the hospital courtyard, tears flowing down my cheeks. I found myself grappling with a complex mix of emotions, unsure whether it was relief or a lingering sense of guilt that weighed on my heart. I arranged for a caregiver to assist him, making a full payment for the year up front. I subsequently visited his residence and engaged workers to undertake renovations on his behalf. I endeavored to approach everything with utmost diligence, not for his sake, but to alleviate the discomfort within my own heart. On the day he was discharged and returned home, I was not present. I arranged for the company driver to pick him up. Upon the driver's return, he conveyed that Uncle Duong expressed his gratitude towards me, mentioning that even his own son had not shown him such kindness. The reassurance from those words provided me with a sense of comfort, allowing me to feel a degree of relief. However, that sense of comfort was fleeting. The chilly days of spring and the new year without his presence at home seemed rather lackluster. No one was prepared to dedicate themselves to the kitchen, crafting a variety of meals for us. We dined at a 5-star hotel for New Year's Eve, yet the warmth of the new year seemed to elude us. On the way home, my son expressed his desire to prepare carp for his grandfather. My wife discreetly signaled our son with a wink to cease his chatter. Yet he only grew more persistent in his conversation. What is preventing Grandpa from returning home for the new year? Your behavior is quite unkind. My wife, in a fit of anger, struck our son forcefully. Yet the impact of that slap resonated as if it had struck me directly. My entire face was engulfed in discomfort. The words spoken by my son disrupted the sense of reassurance we had established. In the rearview mirror, I noticed that my mother's eyes were also red. This New Year's Eve was unmistakably solitary. I truly longed for last year, the time when he was still with us at home. Our family radiated warmth and happiness, thriving on the unspoken sacrifices made by one individual. I found myself pondering whether Uncle Duong was celebrating New Year's with anyone and if he felt our absence. Could it be that he was experiencing feelings of sadness due to our oversight in not being present at home? Following the first drum of the new year, I made my way to Uncle Duong's residence. He carefully made his way to the door to open it for me. Upon seeing me, he offered a smile, yet his eyes brimmed with tears. Within the confines of his chilly home, I found myself unable to restrain my tears any further. I reached for my phone to contact his son. Following a firm conversation, I began preparing dumplings for him. The caregiver had returned home for the holiday, leaving a sufficient supply of snacks by the bed to sustain him until the 15th. I found myself harboring some resentment towards my mother. The comforting dumplings finally infused a sense of New Year's warmth into his home. As we savored the dumplings, each bite seemed to bring forth an outpouring of emotions. In the early hours of the first day of the new year, I carefully made my way out of his house. I had consumed alcohol, parked the vehicle beneath his building, and walked alone on the frigid street, my heart heavy with despair. The sound of my phone ringing filled the room. It was my spouse reaching out. "Could you please indicate your location?" I found myself losing my temper once more. I find myself in the residence of an isolated senior gentleman. Are you following me? What type of individuals do we represent? In his more mobile days, we relied on him, but now that he has lost that ability, we find it necessary to part ways. Have we lost our moral compass, yet continue to engage in discussions about ethics and morality? I felt a deep sense of disappointment in myself as I walked down the street. I found myself berating my own choices. I expressed my frustration until I felt exhausted. Without a moment's pause, pivoted, lifted him onto my back, and made my way out. He inquired with difficulty about my actions. I assured him, "We're heading home, Grandpa, so we can care for you in a familiar place." My son was the happiest individual. He embraced his grandfather warmly, continuously requesting carp, fried sticky rice cakes, and superhero cards. My wife brought me into the room and inquired, "Are you out of your mind?" It seems that even his son is not showing concern for him. What is the reason for bringing him home? I maintained my composure this time and gently explained to her that her son had made an error in judgment. That is an issue he needs to address. We must not allow that to be a reason for neglecting him. I understand that he may not hold the same place in your heart as your father-in-law, but if you truly care for me, I hope you can see him as a valued member of our family, because, deep down, he is family. He is an individual. Leaving him behind might seem simple, yet it would not alleviate the burden of guilt I carry within. I am seeking tranquility and reassurance, nothing more. I expressed the same sentiment to my mother, and she wept, grasping my hand firmly, conveying her understanding. She observed that he was unable to stand any longer, and while she couldn't remain, she couldn't ignore the fact that these moments were imbued with her compassion and worry as well. When considering the concealed realities that older individuals frequently withhold from their offspring, what resonates with you? Have you developed a fresh understanding of how the older generation approaches the challenges of aging with compassion and insight? We would greatly appreciate your insights. What is one lesson you've gained today that you plan to incorporate into your daily routine? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this video beneficial, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more valuable content like this. Your support is invaluable to us.